At 4ZZZ, we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we broadcast. We pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging of the Turrbal and Jagera people. We acknowledge that their sovereignty over this land was never ceded.
And we stand in solidarity with them.
You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ, amplifying the trans and gender non-conforming voices of Brisbane and beyond.
Good morning, Meanjin. You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez, he, him.
My name is Seán, and my pronouns are trying not to swear on the radio, she, her.
Good pronouns. Transmission, all about amplifying the voices of the trans community within Meanjin and beyond. And the traffic was awful today, so
we're going to rebrand Transmission to being the traffic report.
The transport update.
It's bad.
It's bad,
It's
yeah.
real bad out there.
Yeah. It took me an hour and a half. It took me an hour and a half to get from Chermside to Fortitude Valley this morning.
I just made it in myself, just in time. And so today we're going to
right on time.
Yes, now we're going to. So today our topic is going to be tardiness.
Anyway, we're also talking not just about tardiness. We're also going to be talking a bit about community and connection to community and what the importance of being connecting. Being punctual. Connecting with community and the people in it, whether that be online, whether that be going to events and things like that. And something that we do on Transmission every week is we update you on the week in community events that are coming up. And because we were so flustered, I'm going to piece this together
So
as best I
Ez is
can.
reading this from his phone, from a Discord, I believe.
Yeah, no, from somewhere.
How very trans of you, reading something from a Discord.
Hey, the entire show, Transmission, is run in a Discord server. So,
Is it?
Yeah. So,
Should probably get onto that.
yeah, we'll... tardiness. I'll get onto it. All right, on the 20... Oh, wait, hold on. This is dated.
So I'm just going to vamp a little bit now
Yeah,
and talk
all right.
about how I had frantic messages from Ez in the car on the way in this morning, and I'm calling him, and I'm like, BB, I'm also not there. What are we going to do? And the lovely Jack, who was just on...
With Zeitgeist,
on,
yeah.
On Zeitgeist, was very kind to keep the fires burning for us while we were madly scrambling.
I know. I mean, he's just a superstar anyway. He's all
What
right.
a dude.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
He should be. He's the station manager.
I mean, yeah, that is like you would
he
want him
should
to
be
good.
all right.
So I'm wondering if this has been enough vamping for you to actually find the events details, or do you want to save it for the next talking segment?
I have actually the event that I'm looking for,
wonderful.
so it's all right. From January 7th all the way through till March 31st at the Wickham is, and I've mentioned this before, is RPGs for LGBTs. It's run by Transmission's beloved Lord Severus, Sev, who also does a show called The Spiral. So you can join Sev and friends every Sunday from 2 p.m. in the beer garden for some gaming fun. RPGs for all ages and skill level, including but not limited to Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, board games, and miniature painting workshops. It's free for all ages, and you can bring your own adventure for your own group. Or you could just join the table when you get there. There's heaps of fantasy-themed food, beverage specials to keep your bellies full and merry. Also, happy gaming. It's all free to play. So yeah.
And remember, that's RPGs as in role-play games, not rocket-propelled grenades. The militant trans training exercises, that's happening at a different event.
That's a different location, still to TBA.
Different location, TBA. So not to confuse those two. So get your dice, leave the Molotovs at home.
Yeah, there's also some other events, but because there's real frantic getting in here, we'll get to them throughout the show today.
We've got a real chaotic energy at the moment.
Yeah, chaotic energy. You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez, he, him.
My name is Seán, she, her.
Amplifying the voices of the trans and gender non-conforming community of Meanjin, Brisbane and beyond.
Transmission on 4ZZZ brings you the latest in trans community news, music and events.
Every Tuesday from 9am till 10am.
Join our team of hosts for an hour of celebrating the unique perspectives of the trans community.
Transmission, Tuesday mornings from 9am till 10am on 4ZZZ. Oh gosh, we've got some events. I actually had some time to actually look at it. So we've got some stuff coming up. We have Ultimate Showdown in Meanjin this Thursday at 7 p.m. I'm going to read what they've given me. So, welcome back to Ultimate Showdown Meanjin. It's season 2, and we're ready to make it even more loud and positive noise. Presented by Alt and Mara Maracino, Ultimate Showdown is the genre-spanning competition unapologetically celebrating everyone who is different and uniquely fierce, with a focus on showcasing diversity and local performers. Over 40 performers from the underground performance worlds of drag, burlesque, sideshow, comedy, music, performance art, dance entertainers, and more will battle it out to earn the title of champion and walk away with the grand prize worth over $7,500. What? It's taking place across 6 nights in February and March in the heart of Fortitude Valley at the iconic alternative venue, the Brightside. So Heat 1 is Thursday, 1st February. Then you've got one on the 8th of February, 5th of February, 22nd, 29th, and then the finale will be on the 21st of March. All of these are Thursday nights as well, so you can always kind of easy way of remembering that it's happening. You knew a little bit about this, right?
I attended a few of them, had some dear friends competing last year, and it was an absolute vibe. If you missed out on it last time, please go. It is... God, I want to break my stop swearing on air rule. It was effing rad. It was amazing. And there's a couple of friends as well who are getting amongst it and getting back out on stage after some hiatus. So I'm pretty excited. I mean, I'm not going to say names because, there might be a judge or two listening and I don't want to predispose anyone's opinion.
Yeah, you don't want to swing anyone.
Have to be a little bit, I can't just be an obnoxious...
I don't think I've been there since, I've been to one of the Ultimate Showdowns. I can't remember if it was called Ultimate Showdown. This would have been in 2018 or 2017. I don't know if they've changed the name, but I assume it's grown a lot over the years. Is it getting bigger every year?
It was certainly... Actually, that's the first place that I ever saw Sev on stage, because Sev was emceeing. And
that makes sense.
I was absolutely delighted with Lord Severus. I was like, oh my God, I love him so much.
You just look at him and you're like, that guy's going to be my friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I met Sev at Fruit.
Oh, really?
Which is a fantastic annual, it's around International Non-Binary Day celebration that showcases a lot of different performance art, all by non-binary and gender diverse performers, artists, visual artists, and musicians as well.
You're making a really good segue into what we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, it's true.
Places where you find community.
Yeah, that's right. Places where you find community. They can be in lots of, the way that I found community, and we're gonna keep this conversation broad because trans people need access to community in a variety of different ways, whether that be online, in person, or I guess those are the two best ones. Also, I guess on air, if you're listening to Transmission, all about, the trans community. This is another way of connecting with community, finding out what's going on around town. The events that we mention on air every week as well, how we come about them, because someone asked me, how do I find all these events? If you're just trans and queer, your algorithm will give them to you.
Nice.
That, as well as being connected and dialed in at 4ZZZ helps. There's lots of stuff that gets sent to the station sometimes, I've got an event coming up if you'd like to give it a shout out. People who run queer and trans events sometimes contact the Transmission page directly and they go, hey, this is a thing. Alternatively, I go out and about and I actually meet people and I try to go to these events so I can say for certain on air with my own eyes and lived experience that I'm like, yes, Shandy is cool, Yeah.
Mind you are a very outgoing, extroverted person, and of course that's not always true of all trans people.
No,
some of us like to hide in a cave and not be perceived in any way,
and hang out on the Discord servers.
That's right. I was considered falling down the Discord rabbit hole. I am sadly, and this is going to sound terrible.
Are you at risk? Is that
I'm at risk. I Reddit is a trash fire. Let's not beat around the bush, although there are some pockets of loveliness. I've always found that the trans subreddits are heavily moderated by people who genuinely care and do a wonderful job in shielding the members from the miscellaneous expletives that jump on and try and cause problems.
Yeah.
So, I'm always looking for ways to... and a lot of them are sort of international communities, but, the Transgender AU subreddit it's really nice just to hear voices that are local and have that Australian focus, to be talking about the political landscape that we're in there. That's one of the ways that I felt connected and seen, being like, oh yeah, that's right, there are other trans people in Australia. It's not just the American version of transness that you see in the media.
And there's so much of it. There's so much press, just generally, that focuses on the US. Not just like trans community stuff or queer community stuff, just broadly everywhere. I just think we consume way too much American media. I think it actually muddies a lot of our own culture.
And it's always slanted as well, certainly for the trans experience, to being very young, very pretty, very femme. You know, so dear listeners, the reason we're talking about this is because magnificent Ez, threw a little house party on the weekend, and I was very delighted to be invited along. And it was all trans and gender diverse people, and I was like, oh wow, they're all wonderful and lovely and gorgeous. And like, none of us looked like Hunter Schafer.
We can all wish.
We can all wish. But I'm like, oh yeah, you know, the image of stunningly gorgeous, thin, youthful trans women that exist in the media, I need to actually see more people that look like me.
Yeah, well...
And they're in my community. They're right there.
They're around. They're everywhere. It's also funny because I had that party and Kai and I hosted, and 7 different people at different intervals throughout the party, throughout the evening, expressed to me how they didn't feel queer enough. And I'm like... There's 7 of you, and there's only like 10 of us here. So I'm like, okay.
You do outnumber.
I was like, you all feel like you're not meant to be here. We all feel, I guess, like, and it can feel like that. It can feel like you're an imposter in your own community. And that stems from representation. I really believe that that's because you cannot see what you are in media, existing in spaces, in work. Representation doesn't just mean like film, like Hunter Schafer. You know, it doesn't have to be like that.
I'm not hating on Hunter Schafer. Like,
I mean, you can't.
I'm not doing that. But also, like, oh God, I feel very large when I look at her. But anyway.
Yeah, but, you know, like, there's so many cis men who feel very small next to certain other kinds of men. And there's lots of cis women who are very tall who wish that they were much shorter. Everyone has a sense of dysphoria or mind-body incongruence or whatever the language is. You know, like, feeling like they're not man enough or woman enough or this enough or queer enough, evidently. Over the weekend.
And I certainly know in myself, I've always felt that lighten and lift when I am around, you know, other trans and queer folk. Yeah, it was a delightful time. I hope I didn't fangirl too much over the band members of Mitch Please who were there. I managed to maybe keep my composure and cool.
Oh no, I got really drunk and gushed later. So.
Oh yeah, I was like, just be cool, just be cool, just be cool, just be cool, just be cool. Yeah, no, that was a real delight.
Yeah. No, big love to Polly and Kayla. They're the best.
Big love.
Yeah, no, it was a great little thing. Really needed it. And that was the thing, I guess, like, something you'd said at the party to me as well was like, oh, you know, people talk about gender and what gender is and what box do you fit in or whatever, and you said something to me, it's like, well, if there's 9 billion people on the planet, then there's 9 billion genders.
Pretty much.
And I'm like, yeah, because everyone is unique in their experience and understanding of how they want to present themselves, what makes them feel good when they put on clothes or makeup or how they cut their hair. Or
why be limited?
You know? Yeah, exactly. And like, I think...
Why be dull? That's right. We were talking about haircuts, and we were talking about that trend where young men all going and getting the exact same haircut. And I was reminiscing about that era when all those young men saw that Brad Pitt movie about the tanks, and they all went, "I want that haircut." And every dude had that same haircut.
I was complaining when we were chatting in a group at this party on the weekend. I said, gosh, I'm just like, you know, I go to a barbershop that's booked by appointment because I can't just walk into a barbershop and they say to me, oh, yeah, the wait time's 40 minutes. I'm like, what do people do? I don't have time to just suddenly have 40 minutes.
When I was living a life where I did
every trans femme in the room's just like, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, literally. Sitting outside Bare Bones in Morningside, getting there 30 minutes before door open, because if you get there 30 minutes before door open, you wait 30 minutes, but if you get there at door open, you wait an hour. So it's like, the math is sit by yourself on the street for a half hour and be seen immediately.
Yeah.
Or sit there for an hour.
Yeah. Well, someone suggested that I bring a book with me, and I'm like, look, I cram a lot into a day, and like, I would happily bring a book if I planned it. But the thing is, I go there, and sometimes it's a 40-minute wait. Sometimes it's an hour wait. Sometimes they tell me to come back the next day, depending on how late in the day I'm there. You know, so I like the certainty.
I love how we turned the conversation about connecting in the trans community to men's grooming.
Yeah, well, they could do more of that, actually, men just generally. But, yeah, community, there's lots of different ways to create things. I mostly wanted to have an event because the show means that I get to meet lots of really interesting people, and I wanted to create something where people who we've known for a long time should definitely meet other people that mutually that I've known or have met in the community. So that was a big part of it. But there's lots of events that facilitate those spaces, including that RGBTs for LGBTs at Wickham. The common interest being RPGs, but there's lots of other ways that you can connect. Like there's Discord channels, Discord servers, there's Facebook groups, there's TRANZMISSION, which is a great Facebook group. You can post anonymously now, which I think is great for a lot of people who are looking for support, but they're nervous or they don't want to be known yet, or they're not sure if they want to come out yet. And it's amazing to me because every time I'm online and I'm looking in these groups and I'm looking at these online communities, there's always... I see the same questions all the time, like, hey, I've just started my transition and I'm going to buy a dress for the first time, and here's a photo, and this is the first photo I've ever taken where I feel good. And then you look at the comments and everyone's like, yeah, you look amazing.
And I find that the tone of the local commentary, those local groups, versus the sort of international, like reading Reddit. Like, the Reddit ones are all like, I'm 16, is it too late for me? And I'm like, oh, kid, come on. Wow, you're killing me.
And you're just like, brutal.
Brutal.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, so the communities and the local communities, the value that exists is enormous. And actually, interesting you say that, because we were talking when Pauper Spit was playing. Also, shout out to Pauper Spit.
Yeah,
love
right.
You so much.
So good.
That this show, this community that centers around sitting at this desk at this time talking, is a thing that should grow and needs to grow. So shout out anyone out there who would be interested in getting involved and hanging out with Ez and learning about how to push the buttons.
Yeah, you should. You can contact us. You can email me at transmission with a Z at 4ZZZ.org.au, or you can also head to our social media pages, which is trans with a Z.radio. You can type in transmission with a Z too. We do sometimes come up in the search bar. I couldn't, unfortunately, get the trans with a Z mission handle. It was taken by something else, so damn it.
So you don't have to be on air. You don't have to be hilarious. I mean, look at me.
Nah.
You don't have to. You don't have to be charming or witty. You just got to show up. And that is the most important thing.
Yeah,
show up
totally
on time, Ez.
Yeah, look, it's the first time ever that I've ever been late.
You're never going to live it down.
Yeah, no, I'm just one of those people like, I'm on time.
Yeah, get involved if you feel like getting involved and if you want to meet more trans people. There's a couple of them right here, and they will be here.
There's many more. They rotate. This rotating roster of trans people here. Just a non-sub texted in saying, love you too.
Oh.
I don't know who you are, but yeah, we love you.
I'm gonna pretend that's Pauper Spit messaging us.
Okay, all right.
That's my secret stand.
I love you too, guys. Big love.
How many genders are there?
I don't know. I just got here.
You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns.
My name is Seán. My pronouns are struggling to remember what we were talking about. She, her.
Community, damn it.
Community. God.
You're like, no, that's not what it was it?
We are all over the place today.
It's neurodivergent heaven. Just tangent from one thing to the next and run around.
My partner gave me a copy of the assessment forms from a psychiatrist around ADHD to give me an example of like what some of the questions are. And it was confronting.
You were like, oh.
It was confronting. So that's going to be a thing I look into.
Yeah. That's also something.
Thanks for holding up that mirror to me.
You're like, yeah, I knew this, but now I know this.
Yeah.
Or, you can't, like,
trying
escape
to tell me
it.
something.
Yeah.
A language warning. I think they're trying to tell me to get my shit together.
Yeah. Get medicated. Or not. Whatever works for you. Yeah, we're talking about community and tangents are part of community. I'm trying to think of the thing that I was actually going to say. You're right. We've completely lost the train now. But when I think about what's necessary for trans people and what connection means, it can look in very different ways. Because when I started my transition and I was looking for community, I found online to be way too difficult.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like looking at photos of other people, and I didn't like. I was too. The whole drawing comparisons between myself and other trans folk made me very upset. So I didn't want to do any of that. So I ended up going to a meetup, which is called FTM Trans Masks Brisbane, and it's run by Dylan Barrett, who does work for Queensland AIDS Council, and it's basically a trans mask, non-binary meetup to help talk through those issues. And that used to be at the Wickham. I think that's moved now to like Brunswick. You can check that out. That's a place that I went to where I actually got to sit and talk and have conversations with other people like myself. And because it was early in my transition, it was really good because everyone there was also early in their transition, or people who have just gone to that group infrequently over many, many years, and they're at different stages, but mostly a lot of new people, and a lot of babies. Eggs
I do
just
love.
cracked,
I got to say, I do
know?
love being Mother Goose to freshly hatched trans folk. It's quite nice.
Yeah, you have a tendency to do that.
I'm a bit mothery. Yeah. I mean, all the obnoxious dudes online who ask me to trot on them with my big boots will refer to me as that. So,
wow, there you go. See?
There's a real weird thing going on online for me at the moment. What I'm trying to
That's
say
a different
is
episode.
probably try and not be as online so much in regards to finding trans community. Obviously, I know if you're regional and remote, if you are not out in the world publicly, it's difficult to be physically in spaces with other trans people and participate.
That's why I like a
online
buddy
is the
system
only method. Yeah, a buddy system. It's just the difficulty about online is that it does predispose people to compare bodies to each other. It does slant towards lack of nuance in the discussion because you're only dealing with text, and sometimes the compassion
Sometimes it's
can be
good,
lost.
sometimes it's not. You've got to like pick your capacity as well. And I'm a firm believer in that. When people say that they're going to come to something and they don't show up, that's fine. I'm like, I don't really get too hung up about it.
Jokes about tardiness aside.
Yeah, well, people going through their own things, what's going on.
happens.
And we are so constantly demanded by our phones, to respond to things, emails, spam, whatever else is going on in the notifications, that I don't try not to get too hung up about whether people can make things or not. It's all about capacity and taking care of oneself first. So, yeah, I try not to hold that against people.
Have you ever been in the situation where you were planning to go out to something and you were ready and about to walk out the door and just said to yourself, I cannot do it?
Yeah, literally a month ago.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, maybe even sooner than that.
Definitely.
What is time? But yes, I have done that before.
Nothing quite like being a 6-foot muscular trans woman crying through a full face of makeup on the couch because you just realised you cannot face the world. There is something about that.
Yeah. I wanted to go to a venue that I haven't been to yet, and I was going to go by myself, and I was like, yeah, I can do it by myself, I'll be fine. And then I got ready, I got all dressed up, and then I was like, wait a minute, I really don't want to do this. Yep, nope, it's getting worse and worse, the feeling of dread of leaving. It's outweighing the potential for joy, actually. So that I'm like, okay, well, the best thing I can do is to not put that much cortisol and stress through my body.
Totally.
I'll just, I'm gonna resign and stay at home.
Yeah. And there is a sort of a cadre of people out there in the world who would say, just grit your teeth and bear it, fake it till you make it. And I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know that
sounds
the best
nice
advice.
What happens at the end of that is called burnout, and that's not great.
Yeah, it is the modern condition.
It's that whole saying of like, if you take time for yourself and have breaks, then you'll be less likely to get sick and burn out. Because if you don't take breaks and you don't look after yourself first, if you can, what happens is that you end up burnt out at a time usually when you don't want to take a break or have to take a break, or it's an inconvenient time to have this break happen because I'm burnt out and I'm exhausted and sick and I can't do anything about it. So yeah, drink plenty of water. I know it's really humid out there, but you should definitely be drinking water, people.
So I've started doing voice training, voice feminization.
Oh, right, okay.
At the Courageous Space. I just had my assessment the other day, and they were asking me like, oh, how's your vocal hygiene? Do you, look after your voice? And I'm like, I try not to raise my voice very often, like at loud venues. And they're like, do you drink water? And I'm like, does coffee count as water?
Yeah.
Drink water, everybody. Please, drink water.
Tranzfemmes, drink your water.
Tranzfemmes, plees drink water. Stay hydrated. It'll help you elevate that voice up. I'm really bad at it.
Yeah. Isn't there a thing as well you can't drink milk?
Is that a thing?
I don't know. That's why I asked.
Do I have to give up milk
No,
now?
I just thought milk had something to do with... Maybe that's to do with singing. There's enough artists around here.
Please text in, anyone who knows.
Can you drink milk and sing? Is that a thing?
My incredibly large
I don't know.
latte that's waiting for me outside of the studio, because no food and drink in the studio. Yeah, I might actually have to throw that in the bin now, Ez.
I don't know. Anyway, it's come to the end of Transmission. Thank you so much for hanging out. And yeah, look after yourselves and don't be afraid to reach out to community. Yeah, we're around.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. My name is Seán. I've been Seán. My pronouns are the weirdest chaotic energy I have ever brought to a public space. She, her.
My name is Ez. You can just yell at me. I'll probably answer you anyway. Oi! Yeah, that's it. You're listening to Transmission 4%. Bye!
Thank you so much for listening to Transmission. See you next Tuesday, 9 to 10 a.m. on 4ZZZ.